So, this is about mandatory reporters, and of course, the phone call with Sean Hubert, Hubert, who is the interim director at CARE. Obviously, there are many issues at CARE, including the situation where they coordinated with the police and also coordinated with TFCC to ignore any and all abuse against the homeless and are to only call the police or the sheriff's department if one of us wants to harm ourselves or others. They don't care if we are harmed. Now, this has been going on since I got here. When I got here in 2022, that was their standing order and their protocol, and has remained in place since then. Melissa has informed the staff that they're to follow that protocol, and I was there when she told them that. There's also the recordings with, God, what's that woman's name? I gotta remember. Give me just a second. Shelley Robinson. Sorry about that. There's a lot of names to go through, and you're gonna get to see that. This is Andrew Walnez. This is one of the. This is not one of the assaults. This is just him beating on my vehicle. What happened is I was at the library. I was pulling out. And I was pulling out. You can see, actually, there's a car in the background over there, I believe. Or that might just be rain on my vehicle. Now, you can see it's an overcast day. You can see that it is raining, that there's water on my windows. And, of course, what am I going to do when I pull up to the road at the T intersection there? Well, I'm going to look both ways. That's what I'm going to do. Now, while you're watching this, I want you to keep something in mind. We've gotten to see many, many, many times how, even if it's a violent crowd, people who are driving through a crowd with their vehicle, if somebody kicks their vehicle from the front as they're moving forward, then they could get sued and have been sued and have also been arrested for vehicular assault. So I have to worry about vehicular assault at this point in time. And this is one of many, many, many occasions when he did this. Like, the whole side of my vehicle was smashed in. And of course, despite all of the medical paperwork that I have, an overwhelming amount that states that the people that actually looked this up, the people who are licensed to be able to diagnose schizophrenia, state that I am outright not schizophrenic. I am not delusional, but they looked some of these situations up. That's the difference. All of these different agencies in Tillamook screwed up. They also all made money off of me repeatedly for me going back. Are they going to deal with the situation of me being abused? No, they want me to go back for therapy. They want me to go back for every program that will make them money. Every program that robs you of your tax dollars, that is a complete waste of time, is what they're going to make me jump through. Like the housing thing, right? I still have to go out in public. Now I don't have a vehicle. So if I am able to take evidence to show to the people that care, I have to carry it there, and I can only carry a little bit. Lucky me, I have a bag that is getting stuffed full of, well, the things that show very specifically that the people that care, the people at TFCC, and law enforcement in this town, even after being sent evidence showing that I was being threatened and my family was being threatened, wanted to pretend that these were threats against them. So this is obviously not okay. They also, despite all of the evidence showing that I am neither schizophrenic nor delusional, they still want to continue to push this narrative. Now, there are two things that show that this is just a bullshit narrative, and they know it. Number one, anytime that I call the police about a situation with somebody else, they do show up. They do take it seriously, and they do not treat me like a schizophrenic. The only time they pull that crap is when it's a crime committed against me. The reason for this, number one, they know I'm not schizophrenic. They know that I'm honest, because I've been honest in their situations. Also, from investigating the situations that I turned in, which were all situations, or primarily situations where somebody's life was at risk, yeah, there's verification and proof of that. So let's play this video. The other thing is, if he's kicking the side of your vehicle and he rolls his ankle while you're moving forward, that's another issue. So as I was pulling up and I pulled up to a stop, we'll just press play and you'll get to see what happened. I said, there's Wolnez walking my way. You can hear him kicking the vehicle, so I pull up my camera and I lock the door. You notice I lock the door. And it went on for a while. It only records for 15 seconds. He did that twice within 5 minutes. All right, he did this over at the library, and once he was no longer on the side of my vehicle, that's when I pulled out. But the thing is, like, he continued hitting my vehicle, and then I moved from there over to the center market, and he did it again. Here's one.
You need to stop. Video stop. You need to stop. Do not hit my stuff. Do not hit my stuff. Do not. Do not hit my things. Stop.
I didn't care that he was hitting me. This is the 5th assault. That's at the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
You need to stop. Do not hit my stuff. Do not hit my stuff. Do not. Do not hit my things.
Now, it's amazing how these guys want to be able to assault me when I'm not recording. They want to be able to bully me and make false accusations. And then they want to play like they're the victim because I fucking record them doing this shit now. No, I'm not going to trust you anywhere around me after you've already assaulted me repeatedly and threatened my life and gotten your friends involved. What did all of these predators do? All of them have the same MO. All of them. When I try to turn them in, they play victim. They work together with my other predators to play victim. Pretend that these are delusions, that it never happened. Delusions, that's right. Andrew Wolnez has used Natalie Bollinger by name as his excuse for doing these things. I have literally not once ever hit him back. The 9th assault, while he was headbutting me, I had to grab a hold of his nose to try to prevent him from headbutting me and just control it. Not punch it, not elbow it, not headbutt him back. No, none of that. And that was the 9th assault. And all of the rest of them, I was trying to protect my phone. And the reason he went after my phone is because I was trying to protect my phone. So here's a video of my car. These are not delusions. Alright, now this is important because it does show that she destroyed evidence. It also shows she's trying to type nice. She typed, "Sean, if you asked for your care file, it wasn't me you asked." Well, that's debatable. As far as the photo that you were referring to, that was absolutely shredded some time ago. Yeah, she shredded that and the quote-unquote mean stuff that was in my file. Well, what mean stuff was in there? You guys got to hear me in the conversation with Sean. I did tell him about these things. These are crimes, all right? This isn't just shredding a picture here. She was also claiming that she was trying to help me to get an apartment and get connected to the right kind of support system that meet my specific needs. Well, they've been claiming that for how many years? So, we're going to go over the tactics that mandatory reporters use in order to prevent you from turning in the crimes committed against you. Because you may know somebody who is disabled, I want you to keep in mind that the instructions that we're given is to go to a friend or family member and have them turn it in with us. The police, especially if you're a homeless man, are going to make every excuse not to look at the evidence or create a situation where you can't record the situation with the police and show them the evidence. And that's a situation that gets real messy too, because then you have to try to fight for their body cameras. I don't mean physically fight, I mean you have to spend a bunch of money and get attorneys and a bunch of other stuff, and you believe it's easy, but they make it impossible. Meanwhile, Andrew Wolnez hasn't stopped. I'm suffering from the effects of social isolation, and I have been for many years. See, Natalie Bollinger never accused me of doing any of the things that these people are assaulting me for. These people want to assault me by pretending that I am a pedophile. Well, I've never been charged with any form of crime against a child. And when I try to turn these predators in, where many of them have a history of child abuse against their own children, they want to pretend that they're afraid for their kids. Well, imagine that. Why is that? It's because they're trying to play for sympathy. Well, that's fine. One of the big differences between me and my predators is that they keep trying to keep all of this evidence out of court, and I keep trying to show it. You want to take the Fifth Amendment? I'm taking the First. I truly believe that the First Amendment is a much more powerful institution. And I say institution because our whole country is entirely founded on it. It just doesn't work now. So let's focus on what these guys do to change the subject. Now we want to, first of all, focus on the mandatory reporter laws. When you go to turn in accusations of abuse, an accusation of abuse is enough to get an investigation started. But they're not going to look at the evidence or make it easy to show them evidence. And they're supposed to turn it in right away. They have two options at that point. The first option is to turn it in right away, like they are legally required by law. It's mandatory. They're mandatory reporters. Or B, they can do anything else. Anything else that they do at that point is against the law. Anything else that they do at that point to try to defer you or deter you or in any way try to make you feel threatened or intimidated about turning in abuse, well, that's for certainly against the law. Now, if they go with the first route, they got nothing to worry about. If you go to them about abuse and they turn it in right away, good, they followed the law. If they did not follow the law, and you try to show them evidence and they refuse to look at it, they're still refusing to do their job, saying, oh, well, you need to go to TFCC, or that's Department of Health and Human Services, and so on and so forth. No, you are all mandatory reporters. It is illegal for you to pass the buck. You have to turn it in. Now, with the second one, if they did anything else, then they have only one option to try to cover their ass, and that is to pretend that you are schizophrenic or delusional. They didn't follow the law. They will pass the buck any way they can and blame you as a victim. When you are enduring frequent and ongoing abuse from the same people, yes, that constitutes abuse. If you are enduring physical assaults from those people, yes, that constitutes abuse. If they're calling you the N-word, and calling you the F word for homosexual and calling you gay while they're doing these things. Those are hate crimes. When they're threatening your friends and family, threatening to kill them, literally threatening to kill them, not this stuff that Natalie Bollinger wanted to pretend was a threat. Absolutely not. Or, of course, here in Tillamook, where I show threats against my life and they pretend that it's me threatening someone else's life. No, it's not. Or the situation where mandatory reporters want to tell me that they're not mandatory reporters. If you go in with the evidence and you show them the evidence, then they have to turn it in. It is then credible. It has to be a credible accusation. So they go out of their way not to look at it by pretending that you're not credible. By pretending that you're schizophrenic or delusional so that they don't have to do their job. They know you're not schizophrenic or delusional at this point, but they don't want to do their job. And this kind of advocacy is important because we pay a lot of money for these places to advocate for us. But then they say, oh, we can only advocate for housing. Excuse me, you're a mandatory reporter. You can only advocate for housing? Bull, you can call this in. Instead of making me call it in and get treated like I'm a schizophrenic nut job. The difference between a delusion and the truth is whether or not you have proof, whether or not you have evidence. I've got ample evidence, irrefutable evidence. These people did know that I was being abused. They did know that these assaults were happening, and they did know that the situation with Natalie Bollinger was very real. What they tried to do was deter and defer and deflect every step of the way, including with the other victims and including with witnesses. And the other witnesses, rather than going in with me, they chose to write letters or make phone calls that they didn't record by themselves. So I just have to take their word for it. Well, I can't just take your word for it into court. You have to bring your word for it into court. And of course, the thing with working together with me is that I'm following the instructions of the attorneys. They said, you need to record this stuff, and you need to turn it in with a friend or family member. So this mentally ill thing that they've been playing since Natalie Bollinger was killed, this isn't the first time that police have pulled this, by the way. Like I said, anytime you try to turn in a corrupt police officer, this is what you have to deal with. Just like with a husband out on the farm who beats his wife. The first thing they do is take away your ability to contact others and your evidence. See, we can all record on our phones this day and age, but we can't show our phones if they lock us up and take our phones away. This is a very real situation. Another thing they want to do is pretend that because it happened in the past, they don't have to do anything about it. No, I tried to turn it in repeatedly in the past. I was given the runaround and treated like I was delusional. That's not okay. And in order for this man to take it seriously about his co-workers committing felonies, he needs to actually see the evidence. Now, there's a possibility that he's taking his dear sweet time because he's trying to figure out himself how to turn it in safely. There's also the possibility, because he did say that he was going to go talk to my predators about this, two of them, Shelly Robinson and Melissa, let me see what it is on the card, Melissa Hampton, my apologies. This is another one of the people that I'm trying to turn in. Melissa Hampton is the one who's telling these people who work at CARE that they are not to call in any crimes committed against us, if any crimes are committed against us, they're supposed to defer. They're only to call the police if we, as the homeless, are harming someone else or ourselves. That's it. So I tried to explain to Sean that this is a situation that has been ongoing, just same as I tried to explain to Shelley. Now, the thing with Russell is that he was actually trying to help to turn this stuff in. He was being cut off by instructions from Melissa. He was being reassigned to other things on the days that we had scheduled by Melissa. When it came to actually helping me out, basically, he helped me out one day on, I believe it was his lunch hour. He went for a walk with me to the bank to get the bank stuff set up. And I got to fill him in on the situation a little bit at a time, especially when it's a complicated situation. You got to hear in that telephone call, I did information dump. He got to listen for a good 10 minutes worth of me talking. What are they supposed to do? After this video, we're going to go over that as well. When these accusations are made, if you don't feel comfortable making the call, but the victim does have evidence, you do need to either A, look at the evidence and then make the call, or trust that the evidence exists because they brought it to you, and make the call. If the police are telling you to commit felonies by turning a blind eye to disabled and vulnerable adults being assaulted, you are breaking the law. They are breaking the law. And you need to do something about it. You can't just break the law like this against disabled people and expect them to shut up. And men are expected to suffer in silence, aren't we? We're not supposed to say anything about our abuse. Otherwise, we get bombarded with what everybody else has had to go through. I have had to listen to a lot of people at Tillamook Family Counseling Center, and of course, CARE and many other places in town tell me about their personal stuff. Well, aren't we supposed to be helping me? Why are we deflecting and deferring and all this other stuff to other subjects other than what needs to be taken care of? Getting me into an apartment is not going to stop these people from harming me because I still have to go out into public. And some of my predators are police officers in the Tillamook Sheriff's Department. They've been coordinating together to pull this crap for a very long time. Now, Sean, is he going to set up a time? This is what I called him for, isn't it? To set up a time where I could show him the evidence so that he can help to turn it in. Because if he sees it, if he sees the actual evidence of the abuse, then he, by law, has to turn it in. So what's he going to do? The same thing that the rest of these mandatory reporters do. Refuse to look at it. Bide his time. Drag it out as long as possible. And then say, well, it's in the past. You just need to let it go. You need to move forward. You need to just love your stuff. You guys know. Now, am I claiming that Sean is absolutely going to do these things? This is, of course, Sean Hubert. No, there's a possibility that even though he wants to say that it's not his job to collect evidence, I'm not asking him to collect evidence. I'm asking him to turn it in with me for my safety as a disabled person. I have tried to turn these things in repeatedly. I have gone to the mandatory reporters. This stuff is absolutely true. And there is a lot of evidence of it. He said that he was going to go talk to Melissa and to Shelley. I'm sure he's going to get their side, but is he automatically going to take their side? Because if he does that, then it's a cover-up automatically. The victim needs to have the benefit of the doubt. So they just refuse to acknowledge that I could be victimized. They refuse to acknowledge that all this paperwork showing that I'm not schizophrenic or delusional, showing that the Natalie Bollinger situation is true, showing that these, well, professionals, I mean, these are the forensic analysts for this state, the psychological forensics peoples, the big guys, stating outright that I'm not schizophrenic or delusional. But they're not willing to look at that paperwork. They're not willing to accept that paperwork. The only stuff that they want in their files is things that tries to make me out to be schizophrenic and delusional, even after the fact, even knowing that I am not schizophrenic or delusional. Now, I am trying to turn this into a mandatory reporter, and they are supposed to go at this with the same energy as if a 9-year-old girl came to you and said, hey, I was just raped. If you are a child, a disabled person, or an elderly person, that is what they're supposed to do. What would you do if, as a parent, if somebody raped your 9-year-old daughter? That's what mandatory reporters are supposed to do. I'm not talking about all the violent stuff in your head that you're thinking about doing. I'm talking about when you fucking calm down well enough to be able to make a fucking phone call and turn this shit in and say it is happening. Not, oh, well, he believes that it's happening. Because then you're trying to allude to the fact that you're trying to paint me as somebody who just believes it. It's just a belief. There's no actual proof of it. You haven't seen any proof of it. No, you're refusing to look at proof. And this is the difference between the people who want to say, oh, I believe you, I believe you. Well, that doesn't make any difference. If you believe me and you're still not doing your job as a mandatory reporter, you're breaking the law. Shelley said she believed me. She never tried to turn any of this shit in. None of it. Now, of course, you guys also get to hear the conversations and the way that I talk to these people. I do talk to them kindly. I do talk to them nicely. Do I curse on my YouTube channel and show that I am aggravated, agitated, and pissed off about it? Yes, I absolutely do. I'm allowed to vent. I'm allowed to speak up. Being abused in this way, anybody would have the right to have emotional responses to. I can understand being treated this way if I were a sex offender, but I'm not. I would understand being treated this way if I was a murderer, but I'm not. I'm a disabled person who's being abused because people want to pretend that I might murder somebody or might molest somebody. There's a very big difference there. Then we got Andrew Wolnez, wanted to start off pretending that I'm a child molester and pretending that I killed Natalie Bollinger and using her name by name. Do you have any idea how nearly impossible it's been for me to get a protection order against any of my predators? Not because I didn't try, but because police officers and law enforcement, and of course the courts in multiple locations, have made it impossible. Run me around in circles, outright lied to me about what the laws are, or tried to have police officers or sheriff's department employees intimidate me for trying to turn it in, for trying to talk to somebody because I'm disabled, because my predators can call me mentally ill and then prevent my evidence from being seen, prevent it from being shown to the courts. And then I gotta deal with public pretenders who are useless as tits on a board. I have evidence that every agency that I went to here in Tillamook brushed me off, shrugged it off, blew it off, through dozens of recorded encounters. People throwing pumpkins at my vehicle, people shattering my windows, people kicking in the side of my car. And then they want to throw a tantrum because some of them were recorded doing it afterwards. And how do the police and the DA try to play that out in court? Like I'm calling 911 for no reason. Try to insinuate that I'm delusional. Definitely not. Now, this guy does need to take the accusation seriously. They do need to be turned in, and the evidence needs to be collected, and my safety needs to be considered. I am a human being. I am a disabled adult who cannot run away from these people. I am incapable of running away from these people. And many of these occasions, Andrew Wolnaz rode by on his bike screaming stuff at me. By the time I was able to get it recording, well, I got lucky in some of those occasions and he came back around the block. Noticed that I was recording and decided not to scream on some occasions. I've posted up the evidence from Whitney, who is Andrew Wolnaz's daughter, who got in contact with me through